Welcome back to Nailed It. I always do the old knee slap like I've not got damaged knees. How the devil are we? I have missed this. What's new? Talk to me. Listen to me. Where have I been? Been on my jollies, haven't I? You're going to get sick of hearing that recently. I do apologise. I'm always either ill or on holiday. What's going on? I'm like fucking Alan Wicker. But no, I have been on my jollies. I've been to Palma with my gorgeous darling bestie, Lucy. By the way, I'm drinking Baroccas. Do you remember the advert for Barocca of people running on the treadmill sideways? It was like, Barocca, you, but on a really good day. I think they're brilliant. I don't think they get the hype they deserve. Like, these are not just for hangovers. These are long-term pros. Anyway, me but on a really good day. Welcome back to Nailed It, guys. Nailed It podcast. Oh, I have so many exciting episodes lined up for you. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I actually recently listened to another podcast by Leo Skeppy on the power of recommitting and why it's important. And I really took a lot of advice from it. So that is exactly what I am doing myself. I've planned loads of great content. I'm spending this weekend pre-recording and getting in front. I also find that the shorter episodes, I know I can talk bollocks for England, but I find the shorter episodes are just, number one, easier, but also they just have a little some about them. So I'm going to aim for a bit more of that, the snappiness, the vibes, although I could drag a lot out. But anyway, this week's topic is all about the nice guy shouldn't finish last. We don't want them to finish last. It's the mindset that people are, scared of the nice boy or girl, but everyone that's wrote in has wrote in about heterosexual relationships of the man and the woman. And they're all girlies who've wrote in about, going from being in a toxic relationship with a man to now being in a positive one and how much it's challenged them and triggered them at times. I am one of said girlies, and one of my really, really close friends at the minute has just come out of a toxic relationship. A couple of them have, actually, to be fair. Go you girlies. Salute to the gyal dem. That being said, when experiencing positive romantic situations, it's freaking them out. Naturally, completely get it. I've been there myself. And I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. I've got some really great responses written in, and I just wanted to pick them apart and advise you up. So that is exactly what we're going to do today. I'm going to touch on my own experiences and other people's, and we're going to get to the nitty-gritty of why the good guys should finish first, and we want them to. Not everyone is pure shit. Most of the time. We want the good ones, so no messing about, guys. My holiday was great, start to finish. Everyone was like, what was your standout moment? I was like, all of it. From the minute my feet touched the airport to literally getting back in my own bed on Sunday night, Monday morning. It was Monday morning, we were delayed. We literally got home at 4 a.m. That was the only low point, getting in late and going to work on 5 hours sleep. But everything about it was pure bliss. Literally, the weather, it was 31 degrees. You know what, as well? I've never thought of going to Palma, but it was absolutely beautiful. Will return. Would shag again. The country. It was just phenomenal. Super hot. Good stuff to do. Good food. Places to go. Good nightlife. Obviously, if you want to, you can get a bus to Maga. We did not indulge. I've been to Maga. Been there, done that, got the tea. That should be its own episode. That was such a weird time of life. The best thing for me, personally, apart from being with Lucy and having the time of my life, was the fact that my hay fever wasn't apparent there. I've literally just had to sling another antihistamine down my throat, so if I pass out during this, rip me. Someone listening will know my address. You know where to send the fucking 911 emergency. But yeah, it was just gorgeous. Everything about it. Underneath this, I have tanned, but obviously we're in treacherous climate in the UK right now, given that it is July. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, that is me. Gorgeous holiday. Back at it again. I go on holiday again next week, which makes me sound very, very up one's ass. But I don't give a fuck. These are my holidays, bitch. I'm gonna use them all I want. I went to Berlin with some more girlies and the baby. Me, Katie and Eve are taking baby Rory, and it's gonna be a big fat sleigh. Don't know who on God's green earth thought they could trust me with a baby abroad, but I'm going to slay it, me and my auntie roll. I'm going to put him in the little harness, walking around, go see Berlin Wall. Can't wait. It's going to be box office. So, without further ado, let's jump into the topic of nice guys should not finish last. Okay, so the question I asked on my story was, I want to know your own stories of how you've gone from being with a nice guy or girl after being with a complete loon. And, you know, I want to hear it. Let me heal you, she says, ambiguously. So that's where we were heading with it. So I thought I'd start with the person. This will all be remaining anonymous, by the way. Don't worry. But I thought I'd start with the person who inspired me, just from the conversations we've had. She's one of my nearest and dearest. I love the girl to death, and I genuinely feel like I'm looking in a mirror every time I talk to her. But she's a couple of years younger than me, so it just reminds me of myself when I was at that time of life, and especially in this situation. She has come out of a 2-3 year long relationship that, upon reflection, she's realised was quite a toxic relationship in terms of their communication styles, how they would talk to each other, you know, breaking up over petty shit and getting back together. But, you know, ultimately, like, your first love, and I feel like for a lot of people, I think it's quite rare for your first love to stay your forever love. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible. I've seen it firsthand myself, and it is the most gorgeous love story. But I don't think it's always necessarily achievable, especially as a society where we do more at a younger age now, I would say. We tend to mature a lot quicker. So, like, if I think back to my first serious relationship, I got in that when I was 14. Now I look at 14-year-olds around me. You know, my partner's sister is 14. The thought of her even looking at a boy, I'm like, oh, stop it, you're too young, you're too fragile. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, different times. We were a completely different generation to those that are around us now at that age. But anyway, and you think back to it, and I think most people in their first relationship, especially around high school times when you're hormonal and things like that, you kind of do just go a little bit cuckoo. And I think the person that you're with, and I think this on both sides, but I've experienced it firsthand from a female perspective, the men can make you crazy. The boys, because they are little boys, can make you crazy. They can make you batshit, right? And it completely warps you as a person. You do and say things as a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old that you look back on when you're old and you think, brother, like literally disgusting behaviour. And, you know, again, I know a lot of these situations, my own personally, ended in being cheated on. That then, even though I was only 16 when that happened, that can still stay with you all the way through. That was nearly 10 years ago. I'll be 26 this year. Nevertheless, 26 this year. No, that was 10 years ago. That event happening to me will never ever leave me, and it will never have not damaged and broken my trust. Do you know what I mean? And you can be with the most amazing person on the planet, which I would like to say that I am. Love you. But it can still be ingrained in your mind. And it's such a sad, exhausting battle that your mind can constantly take you to the worst case scenario when you're presented with any form of situation that reminds you of the past. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think your first relationship, I mean, even for me, my second one was the most traumatic, but the less we say on that, the better. It can really mold you as a person and as an individual, and it can really change the trajectory, often for the better in terms of what you expect and what you look for, but then equally, I feel like your mind will never not look out for the, you know, it's constantly then trying to protect you. It's kind of like fight or flight mode. So if you see something that you define as a red flag or something that triggers you from the past, instantly it's like walls up, gone, boom, shut down. And that's a really hard battle to go through. So anyway, in regards to my friend, she's met a lovely guy who's a little bit older, and he's just a really, really nice guy. There's a bit of distance between him, and he's consistently, you know, met on a holiday, summer romance. And it's not stayed a summer romance. It has progressed. And I think the fact that he's making effort with her, where a lad who lived less than 10 minutes around the corner from her couldn't be asked to make the effort with her, has really set the cat amongst the pigeons. And she just gave me a list of the green flags and said it's like such a drastic difference from her ex that it's blowing her mind, and it's quite overwhelming, and it can make you almost like emotional, so to speak. She said even like, you know, the fact that he's willing to come so far, like pay for things. She has no issue paying for things, like, you know, she would rather be in a 50-50 situation. But it's the fact that, and I think early on when someone kind of sets that tone, like, no, I'm going to treat you until this becomes a bigger deal. Do you know what I mean? I just think that's really, really nice sometimes. Like, even now, like, I've been in a relationship for nearly 6 years. It's still nice for one of you to foot the bill for the other. Like, I genuinely believe in that. I just think it's quite sweet, you know, like on a date night or something, you know, as a treat. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm 50-50 on things. I don't even bat an eye. I'll pay for one thing, he'll pay for another. But it's just nice, especially when you think back to early on. It's just lovely. The time they're spending together is really nice quality time, doing things they both enjoy doing. They have a lot in common. So now, don't get me wrong, if my fella turned around to me and said, do you want to go for a 5k on a second date? I'd be like, listen, lad, sling your hook. I'd rather go to a pizza shop. But that's something they really have in common. And again, finding someone that you have things in common with, who can share their mutual interests with and not frown upon it or put you down or not be invested. Again, so nice. And when you've not had it before, it just makes such a big difference. Just the way he speaks to her in terms of the responses he has to the things she says, having a laugh with her, you know, being caring in the sense of, you know, whatever happens here happens, I just want to see you happy. And it's like, again, some of that will be maturity on his part, but also highlighting someone else's lack of maturity almost, you know. My partner and I, neither of us are the most mature people in the world, but when you have good communication skills and a bit of tact about you and experience, it tends to really, really progress you, you know, in the long run. And all these things combined together, plus the fact that by all accounts he's a bonny lad, it can be really overwhelming to think, fucking hell, how have I gone from that to feeling like I've hit the jackpot? Now, don't get me wrong, there'll be something wrong with him. There's something wrong with everyone. Nobody is perfect. But to go from one extreme to the other really, really does sometimes feel like you're being hit with a bus. And it is really, really hard to comprehend. My advice was, stick it out and have some fun. You don't have to marry him. It may only go so far. But what if it works out? We're all very good at saying, yeah, but what if it goes wrong? What if this? What if that? I always think this when I'm thinking of doing something a little bit exciting, like jumping in the sea, which doesn't sound exciting to most people, but I'm terrified of open water. And in my head, I'm like, what if I drown? What if I get eaten? What if this? What if that? I'll get stung by a jellyfish? What if I get paralysed? Caught in a riptide? But what if I don't? What if I'm great? What if I ride the waves? Rip curl style. Now, low-key will never happen. That is a bit of a stupid comparison, but nevertheless, we all use the what if it goes wrong rather than, yeah, but what if it doesn't? What if it's actually really good? What if it's a good time? Now, I think you've got a lot less to lose going meeting up with a really nice lad who's paying for stuff, respectfully, than what you have jumping in open water in the middle of some waves crashing about. Nevertheless, they all have the pros and cons and dangers about them. But yeah, I think as well, because of the nature of the world we live in, the way romance is forced down our throats on social media, the perfect love life is, and don't get me wrong, I'm obsessed with it. I don't post my relationship like that. That's not me. He's on there. He exists. I love him to death. Anyone who knows me knows he's my fucking life, right? Heart and soul. The world doesn't need to see it. They've seen parts of it. That's all I want them to see. That's not me hiding him. That's not me pretending I'm single. I will not give you any ideas on a night out. Do you know what I'm saying? He's everywhere. But respectfully, I don't want these bitches to see him. I've been with him for 6 years. I still don't tag him. To the point where I put, ha, no, on his face. Cracks me up. Bitches be nosy. Mind your nose. Bye-bye. Anywho. Where was I going with this? Pass. The moment's gone. I can't remember. Anywho, I just think you've got to enjoy these situations for what they are. There we go. I've remembered. Rewind. Seeing romance forced down your throat. I do believe in the power of privacy, right? That doesn't mean being in a relationship and going out acting single, but I do believe in the power of privacy and protecting your peace. You know, everyone's done it when they were a kid, like posting the life on social media. I used to be that bitch when I was like 14 and deluded, silly girl. look back on old posts when they come up in memories. I'm like, delete, remove yourself. But yeah, and when I see Molly May and Tommy Fury, when I see Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, all right, extreme comparisons, I love it. I live for it. Taylor Swift and Travis, give me every angle of their love life. Double tap. But that's never going to be me. Do you know what I mean? Number one, I'm not a multimillionaire with my own PR team. Still, do you know what I mean? I love it, and I will never not love it. But I think for the average Joe blogs, especially when you see people like your UK influencers who are in these relationships, and it's amazing to look at, it does still set quite an unrealistic expectation. Like, are you going to get engaged after a year? Probably not. Are you going to have all these babies by the time you're 25? Potentially not if you don't want to. Things like that. And I think because everyone, sometimes it's even your circle. Like, if your friends are all in relationships, you can then feel like that is the answer for you, but it actually might not be. And that is completely okay. That's absolutely fine. You don't have to jump into it 2 feet first just because it feels like you should, and just because other people around you are. Like, if my partner wasn't the right person for me, it'd be gone and I'd be on my own. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to be in the right situation for it to then materialise. And I do also believe in the power of things happening for a reason. I've said this before, apart from the one reason that we all know about. I do believe in other things. You're meant to meet certain people. I was meant to meet my partner. Nothing logistically should have brought us together other than me being a bit frisky on Instagram and seeing him and going, oh, she gets some of that. Mwah. Follow. Like, I was very confident back then. Go me. I mean, got me my man. Now we got a house. I'm about to get a dog. No, but, it's, some things just meant to happen. And I said, like, if he was just meant to stay on holiday, that's where he would have stayed. But he didn't. And it's not. And this situation keeps reprising itself. Now, it might only be in your life for a short period of time to get you back on the saddle, to boost you because someone else tore you down. But when you're in that relationship being torn down, you can't see it. You can't feel it because it happens gradually, over time, slowly chipping away at you, to the point where you don't recognise yourself, to the point where you're yearning for them and you think, hang the fuck on a minute. You reevaluate in 6 to 12 months, which she will do, and I can't wait for it. The girls' night will go off, slay. But you'll look at that situation, look at that version of yourself and think, hang on a minute, what were I doing there? If you heard it come out your mate's mouth, you'd be like, no, don't put up with that shit. Do you see what I mean? So yeah, 100%, all for that, all for that. Let's read some other responses, shall we? Here we go. So I asked for your stories, like I said, about going from a complete loony bin to the nice person. And I got a lovely one here. Here we go. Needing lots of reassurance. Fully get that. If you've been hurt before, you do need reassurance in whatever field that looks like, whether it's in terms of infidelity, someone now being faithful to you, money. I've been in that situation before. Like, certain things can really trigger you. For example, I don't have a good relationship with betting and gambling. Not me personally. This is not Gamblers Anonymous. However, if you want to slide in the DMs because you are, go you. But someone fleeced me. Someone I was meant to be in a relationship with. So now, even though I know my fella's not frigging down the bookies every fucking week, putting his life savings on the horses, it still gets my back up. Now, that is something for me to deal with because I trust that person. But nevertheless, like I say, if you've been scorned by something quite badly, that trauma doesn't leave you. It's more a case of having the reassurance and retraining your brain and your responses to trust that new person, that they're not going to do that, and setting those boundaries. In this relationship, one thing I will pride myself on is, because of how badly I got hurt in the past, I have set all of my boundaries over time. Didn't do it overnight. I'm not perfect. Never going to be. But I have set boundaries. And as I go on, our communication's out between us, by the way. He does the same. And like I said, it's not always rosy. Sometimes, shit, sure, we crack on. We love each other. We've become much more honest with one another about our feelings, about how things make us feel. And having that open dialogue and communication literally just changes things. So highly recommend. But yes, needing lots of reassurance. Struggled with lots of anxiety at first that he was going to leave at any point. Get that. 100% get that. I found when I was dating before I met my partner, I found it really easy to cut things off, because prior to that, I would get myself far too invested early on. So I became a bit of a cold bitch, and low-key was the best thing that happened to me, because I felt like I was in the driver's seat. But I can fully understand that when you really like someone and you fall for them and your walls come down a bit, especially if it's a good thing, of course you're naturally going to feel like they're going to leave at any point. But again, that goes back to needing reassurance. And also as well, I'm very much of the mindset, even though it's quite contradictory, there is only so much reassurance one person can give. And this is not just relationships, this is friendships also, before it becomes a point of like, you're questioning the type of person I am. Now, I think after a period of time of knowing someone, like I said, in a friendship or a relationship, like romantic capacity, like you get to suss them out as a person. And, you know, there comes a time where like reassurance can be, I wouldn't say frustrating, but a little bit tedious almost. Now, I'll give people reassurance till the cows come home. However, it does sometimes, I've found personally, when people, potentially more in a friendship capacity, but I can find it quite aggravating, because I think I've been your friend for X amount of years. You know me this well. Like, why are you still questioning me? Like, do you know what I mean? When you believe yourself to be quite a transparent person. Now, but again, it's difficult, because if you're friends with someone who's been scorned by their friends, it's only the same as being scorned in a relationship. It's just not a romantic type of relationship. So I fully sympathise, but I can also see it on the other side. Whilst I've never needed to give, in fact, I have needed to give reassurance in my previous relationships. And at first it's like, yeah, don't worry, blah, blah, blah. And then after a bit, it does become a little bit exhausting, because you're like, well, I keep telling you, I've never done anything wrong. Like, what's the point of me keep telling you? So I can definitely see it on both sides, having been on both sides of the fence. It is a tricky one. How do you allow yourself to be treated so good after being treated like shit? Honey, let it in. Walls up secretly, arms open externally, right? Let the good things come to you. You need to believe that you deserve good things, because you do, right? We're not put on this earth to have bad shit thrown at us all the time, unless you're a bad person, and then it's bad karma. It's bad juju. Do you believe in it? Talked about it in many episodes. Get back, rewind and back. Allow it. Just allow it. You don't have to let your walls down and give someone your fucking bank details and your inside leg measurement to be treated well. It's the bare minimum. We don't applaud fish for swimming. Don't applaud men or women for treating you how you should be treated. Basic human nature, right? To not be a cunt. Don't take anything less. If you're taking anything less, DM me. I'll coach it the fuck out of you. Let it happen. The thing is, like I said, everyone's obsessed with finding love and finding true love in some way, shape or form. That's not necessarily with a partner. It might be with a career. Do you know what I mean? Everyone has got it to some degree somewhere in them. You do need to have some, like, a little bit of like free will that it is just going to happen. And I think the less pressure you put on it and the less that happen, like the less you focus and hone in on it, the good things will just naturally come to you and attract you. If you're berating yourself and putting yourself down or being a toxic person, you're only going to attract toxic energy. That's why negative people congregate together and the happy people are over there. Do you know what I mean? Look at the Kardashians. Exhibit A. Negativity breeds from them. Wild example, you get the gist. It's very easy to say, just sit back and let it happen, right? But you can be treated well without diving in balls deep. Do you know what I mean? I went on plenty of dates where I was treated very well and I wasn't disrespected. Didn't marry any of them. I'm going to marry this man instead, who took me on a lovely date and treated me very well. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, get out of the mindset that it all has to be serious from the get-go. That doesn't mean you're unfaithful. That doesn't mean you're not a good person. But if you go 2 foot in straight away, the other things will give. So you need to have your walls up and have some boundaries, but allow the good things to come to you because you're deserving of them. Oh, it feels like the dream. Feel like you need to be with someone shit to appreciate when it's great. Definitely. Don't get me wrong. I don't wish shit upon anyone. However, I also don't know anyone that hasn't experienced a bad relationship followed by a better one. Do you know what I'm saying? Everyone's got to feel a little bit of the rough patch, even with the partner that you're with. Do you know what I mean? Like, relationships are not smooth sailing all the time. I know it's same basic old stuff, but it's true. you've just got to take it for what it is. But yeah, I do believe that. If you don't, it's like anything in life. If you don't feel the lows, you don't feel the highs. And the same goes in relationships. So completely agree, sister. What else have we got? Oh, complete and utter bliss. Cannot believe I put up with so much bullshit in the past when this absolute angel of a boy is now my boyfriend. Everything happens for a reason. Oh, it's making me smile because I know who this person is. And to see someone, we've been friends for a few years, and to see the glow that has radiated from this woman is unbelievable. I mean, one of the most beautiful girls ever just to look at. But to see her go from just being like who I thought she was to the person she is now, it's not even like a lover girl phase. It's her life. It's just amazing. Amazing to see. She's still 100% independent lady, but she's just got this gorgeous boy who's treating her how she should be treated. And like you say, you get with someone who gives you the basics, like my other friends, myself included, and you look back and was like, why was I doing that? Why was I in that situation? It is mad how much you realise. And the thing is as well, I spoke about this quite a lot with some of my other friends, you can still be unpicking trauma in your current relationships. I've done it myself, realising I am the way I am because that happened 5 years into this relationship, right? It's mental what your mind can allow you to process. And I say this with ultimate chest. When you get to the age 25 and the whole frontal lobe cortex is in full development, your mind will expand a lot in regards to your relationships, your concepts, your emotions, your understandings, right? I'm not saying your life will change. I'm not saying the fucking moon will spin on the wrong axis, right? But things will start to happen up here. You will make shifts in your life. Know it from first-hand experience and from multiple people around me where it has also happened the same thing, right? I don't think it's a myth. And you will, I feel like you kind of almost relive things. I actually also think that's why the older we get, we're actually getting more self-aware and anxious about certain things. All of my friends who have anxiety never had it when I first met them. It's only now that they're older and they understand what triggers them and this, that and the other. Now, don't get me wrong, anxiety is just a word that we absolutely batter in this generation. That doesn't take away that it is a true thing. I'm not saying it isn't. I have anxiety about certain things. But we call a lot of things anxiety, fears, pressure, things that haven't happened yet. Do you know what I mean? They're just different words for anxiety or vice versa. That being said, I feel like the more you understand yourself as a person and the more you learn why certain things make you behave a certain way, it uncovers your anxieties. I think everyone has them somewhere within them, even if they haven't found them yet. And I think part of that is getting older and just becoming a bit more understanding of yourself and you as a person, becoming more self-aware. So I definitely think you will end up reliving things from your past, and you'll probably see yourself in a different light and, give yourself a little bit of grace almost for all the years that have already gone by. Do you know what I mean? That's why a lot of people come out of relationships when they get into the mid-20s, long-term relationships, the relationships you've seen since school, because they've massively changed. Their eyes have opened. Do you know what I'm saying? Oh, this is a different one. Anonymous, please. Always girls. I've gone from a nice guy to a loon and I was bored for 8 years. Oh, see, this is a bit different. There's a difference between this Barocca is not Baroccaing. Pause. I don't know what it is. I think I prefer the Aldi's own version. Does anyone else have that where they prefer the copy to the real deal? This has a weird aftertaste. I don't know if it's because I got it from the airport. It's got a different coloured cap. Maybe it's not the right one. It's the right fucking brand though, because it charged me £6.50. £6 with King Charlie's mush on. Anyway, digress. I don't know if it does have his face on, actually. It must do. In fact, I got a £20 note last week with his face on. Freaked me right out, it did. Seeing him all in purple. Ugh. Like looking at his hands. Anyway, digressing. There's a difference between getting with a nice, genuine person versus settling for the nice person because it's what you know and what you're used to. I don't believe for one single second, and I don't know if it's just because I am an intuitive person and I know in my heart of hearts. You know if you're not with the right person. You know it. I'm not having that you don't. Everyone lies to themselves all the time. Everybody. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen people come out of long-term relationships. I've done it myself. And you knew the whole time that that wasn't the end game and that it wasn't the real deal because you weren't fully invested. You know it. You're just lying to yourself and lying to those around you, but they know it as well. Do you know what I'm saying? Right. You're settling for the nice guy. Now, by the way, when this girl split up with this guy, everyone around her was like, about time, knew it, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? Because she was settling. It wasn't what she wanted, right? She knew that. You can tell in people's behaviour when they're out and about, whether they're invested in their own relationship or not. You just know it, right? Okay. So those who are invested in the relationship are not out pretending they're single. Do you know what I mean? That's not what this girl's done, by the way. This is just me making a generic comment. They're not, right? You just know in your heart of hearts. So there's a big difference between having a nice guy who's treating you right and settling, right? You've got to be fully invested in someone. I've met nice guys before and known that it wasn't right. And on paper, nothing wrong. Nice person, good looking, good job, good morals, you know, don't smoke, don't do drugs, whatever. But it just weren't there. Do you know what I mean? Why would you jump into that situation just because on paper it looks right? It sounds right when you say, you know, they're this, they're a manager of this, they drive this, they make money. Why would you jump into it when you know in your heart of hearts there's nothing there? You have still got to have that level of excitement. And that doesn't mean it's going to be roses on your doorstep every day and fucking ultimate shagathons until the fucking cows come home and you can't see, right? That's not real love. That's excitement. There's a difference, right? You want a long burning, you don't want a spark. You want a long burning flame that's just eternal. And I know that sounds so cringy and cliche, but it is true. Settling for the nice person or the person who you've always known, you will still know in your heart of hearts if that's not as true. So there is a difference. Now, if you're with a loon now, I need to know more about what loon means. Define loon. Are you happy? Is he crazy? Is he safe? You know, there's different things. Is he a loon as a person? Is it a good personality? Does he match your vibe? Is it temporary? All those different types of things that you've got to ask yourself. And the final one from one of my frequent repliers. She said it took her about 1.5 years to fully trust her person and be 100% herself. I genuinely thought it was a prank. It's hard to keep your negative responses at bay. 100%. I sometimes feel like that when things have been going good for so long and you're like, when are the prank patrol going to come out and be like, gotcha, bitch? But again, like, if you're a good person, you put good things out there. I can't explain to you how much that in life you will just constantly have good things happening to you. If you're evil, if you're nasty, if you're doing malicious things, then don't expect the good rewards. And that's not me saying you're going to trap up to the pearly gates or the depths of hell when your time comes. We're living for the here and now. We're living for the rewards that are happening right now. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I fully agree with that. And I think as well, when you have been through a lot of shit in your relationships, like, the good one does come. And it's such a shame almost for the good person, boy or girl, because it's so hard to let yourself trust them and let yourself fully be in it. She also said, I instantly regret it as well because there's no need for it at all sometimes. I'm guessing that means about being hot-headed. Oh, yeah. It hurts me as much as it hurts him, but I'm a hot-headed little bitch. Hot-headed little bitch. I'm a hot-headed little bitch. Sometimes I say things like that come to my mind and I'm like, intrusive thought. She should have stayed in. And then I apologise straight away and be like, hang on, I was a bitch there. And he goes, fuck yeah, you were. And I'm like, cheers to us, honey. But no, yeah, it is a tricky one. Ultimately, it is your mind deceiving you and your mind also trying to protect you. Your body is so clever. I can't begin to tell you. You know, it tries and protects you from the things that you fear and the things that you've drilled into yourself. And it recognises things from your past and puts the walls up for you. Sounds crazy, but it's true. But yeah, I really would like to end on, give the nice guy a chance. Allow yourself to be treated well because you deserve it. You deserve nothing less. Enjoy the good times. You don't have to marry the person that's treating you well, but you are allowed to enjoy it. Not everything has to be forever and ever, amen. We've got a long fucking life on this earth, okay?
That doesn't mean you need to cut everything dead if it's not your husband or your wife, okay? No, dip your toe in the water doesn't make you a hoe, makes you cultured, all right? So go and have some fun, go and be treated well. Let someone take you on a date. Don't mean you have to shag them. Let someone buy you a takeaway. Do you know what I mean? Have fun. You deserve to have fun and be treated well. But you also deserve to give someone who's being really nice and kind to you a chance if they are your vibe. And that's where I will leave it. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Can't wait to see you all next week. I'm really looking forward to it. I will see you then. Bye, guys.